Good afternoon, we're Team Storiverse, and this is our Halves presentation. Our team this semester consists of 2 artists, 3 programmers, and a designer. Our faculty instructors are Chris Klug and Shirley Saldamarco. This semester we're working with Verizon's Open Innovations team, and what we're tasked with is developing a companion experience for one of their shows on their Go90 platform. So before quarters, we're working on a show called QB1. QB1 is a show, documentary about 3 high school quarterbacks who were supposed to be the best in the nation at the time. We're developing short side stories that would be told on a single device using AR, VR, and text. And then the purpose of this was to fill in the gaps between episodes that were released weekly. However, after quarters, we were given the opportunity to work on a different show instead. And the purpose for this was because our clients were able to get more information that would help us with our research because they had a better relationship with their production team. So this new show, Relationship Status, is about a group of 20 and 30-something-year-olds who are trying to navigate dating and relationships in the modern age of social media. And next, Bryn will talk to you about how we move forward from there.
Thanks, Tim. So luckily, even though we changed our show right after quarters, a lot of the feedback that we got from quarters still applies. For example, one of the things we were told is to start with what the viewer wants to do in relation to the show. So when we did our research, which I'll talk about in a couple slides, that was one of the main questions that we focused on. What do people who watch this kind of show want from the show? We were also asked how the viewer starts the experience because that was unclear in our QB1 prototype. In our new prototype, we have an experience wherein the user finishes watching a show and then gets a notification that they have an experience to go to. Xiao will go through that in the full walkthrough. Additionally, we were asked what the role of the viewer is. Originally, we were taking cues from alternate reality games in which the user has a role that's part of the fictional world and affects things that are happening in the fictional world. However, when we changed to relationship status, we decided to change this to make the viewer just a viewer, even in our experience, because that would require less buy-in to get engagement. Our new demographics for this show are females aged 18 to 34, as opposed to QB1, where our demographic was males aged 18 to 24. We did a lot of research once we got relationship status. The first thing we did after watching the show was notice that there were a lot of characters in the show and a lot of interconnecting relationships between the characters. So we decided that one of the things that we wanted to do for our experience is give the user a way to keep track of all these various relationships. Therefore, the first thing we did was try to build out the entire relationship map of the show. However, we discovered that this quickly became confusing. The map that you see up there is not even complete. There are several characters missing and several relationships missing. Therefore, we decided that for our experience, when we display a relationship map, we cannot display the entire web at once and have to find other ways to display it. Additionally, we were lucky enough to talk to Susan Dansby, a soap opera writer who has written for The Young and the Restless as well as the World Turns, and David McKenna, a director in New York, about what soap opera viewers like in their soap opera and what they want to engage with. Susan and David told us that soap opera viewers like making judgments about the questionable moral decisions that are made by characters in the show, and they also like relating what's happening in the show to something that has happened in their own lives. Therefore, in our experience, we tried to let them do that. Our mission statement is very similar to the one that many faculty saw at our quarters presentation. It is to deliver a proof of concept AR experience on a Google Pixel device, engaging fans of relationship status beyond the episodes, so they continue consuming relationship status content after they finish watching. Now Yuxing will talk about why we chose AR.
Thank you, Bri. So why we choose AR, there are a couple reasons behind it. The first reason is that we think AR can help the user to navigate the map because we have 30 different characters and each of them may have 5 or 6 different relationships. A traditional way of showing the map like this can be convoluted, but with AR, we can simply put them all in the 3D space around the user, which will be much easier for them to navigate. The second reason is that we think AR can provide a more intuitive way of interaction instead of just swiping, dragging, and zooming in the 2D screen to examine an object. The user can simply walk closer and look closer to examine it. The third reason is that our client and our team hope to explore new technologies like VR and AR, and in our scenario, AR is a better choice. So here comes our choice of technology. The platform we are using is Google Pixel, and the AR technology is AR Core, which was just released by Google last month. With the new technology, first we build some prototypes in a traditional way of using AR, like we still have 2D UI panel, and the user still need to drag and attach the object into a surface to interact with. And later, we found some new way of using AR, and Nick will talk about it.
Thank you, Yuxin. So since AR on phone is still something pretty new, we did lots of experiments to see the capabilities and possibilities of AR on phone. And one discovery we found is that by using the motion tracking on a phone camera, actually we could achieve what's called mixed reality. So basically, the user could explore in another dimension by walking around with their phone, just like you come back to reality. And with this discovery as a base, we developed this thing called, I call it a galaxy demo. So basically, I attach all the objects on the user himself instead of on any surface. So now we could position 30 to 50 objects without them overlapping each other. And the user could navigate through them easily without even touching the screen of their phone. And also, we proved that putting short video clips in the air actually is a good way to consume the content. We also did a lot of preparation on server and database. Why? Because first, our experience is an episode-based experience, so we need to keep track of which episode the user is on. Secondly, enable us to do data gathering, to share the data among the users, and also share the data to our clients, and they are pretty valuable. And thirdly, we decouple the tech and content development cycles, and make the iteration process much faster. Now, Xiao will give you a virtual tour of our experience.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Nick. Here, I would like to present you a visual walkthrough of the whole experience. In this experience, the user will interact with the show in 3 different ways. At first, he or she will obtain an episode box, and then he or she can choose to interact with the items from the box, as well as view a 3D character map, relationship map. So, imagine the user starts watching this episode 4 of the show, which is about Peter and Libby on a date. After finishing this episode, a notification comes up telling the user that he has obtained a new episode box. When the user taps on it, we actually go into this AR space, and the first thing for the user to do is to find a surface, a flat surface in his room, for example, to sort of set up this experience. The user taps on it, and the UI panels appears, as well as the inventory box and the incomplete relationship map. Let's say the user gets this new episode box here. Well, let's look at the 4 different components we have here. This is the incomplete relationship map. As you can see, there are slots for actually new characters to actually fill it in. This is the episode box the user has just obtained. This is inventory, which can be used to keep track of the objects you have obtained before. This is the interactive panel. This is where the user can interact with these objects. So let's tap on the box to see what's the content of it. As you can see, these character orbs actually fly up to form new relationships. And these 3 characters are introduced in this episode. If you examine the links between them closely, you can see dots of the events that happened between them. If you tap on the dot, you can review a clip of what happened between Peter and Rachel in this episode. When you zoom out, You also get a rose that comes with the box. This rose is something that's significant in this episode. So if the user puts the rose on the interactive panel, he gets to do something engaging with with this object. For example, here, this is a question. This question is about whether the user has experienced something like that before. Experienced something like, for example, your significant other presented you a gift because he or she felt guilty about something he did. And then, after answering this question, you get to see what other people's answers are as well. And you can also type in comments with this comment UI panel here. After interacting with the rose goes into your inventory box, and you can always bring that back onto the panel to review the content of that question and the answer. And here is a video recording of the prototype demo. As you can see, we have implemented the box, the interactive panel as well, and the question and answer, as well as the inventory box. This is where you keep track of all your items. If you look above the table, you see this relationship map as well as the individual clips of what happened between these characters. So this is just the first iteration, and we have a lot to work on after Halves. Next, let's welcome Tausif to tell you more about that.
Thanks, Sean. So we're done with half of our semester, and this is how we plan to go forward. We would like to conduct a lot of playtests amongst ourselves and even outside and see how we can iterate on the prototypes that we have right now. We would also like to polish the art assets so that they're better integrated with the episodes themselves and the whole experience itself. We would like to also design the engaging experience that we have right now and then combine all the bits and pieces that we have into a tighter, cohesive loop that the player would be able to enjoy better. Going forward, the schedule is going to look something like this. We plan to end programming the functionality by the 11th week and also the art production. Going further than that, we would only do the iterations on the prototypes and also conduct a lot of playtests, collect the data from the users on how they're experiencing the application, and then iterate on the prototypes themselves. We would also like to polish the fixes. We'd like to polish the experience as a tech prototype and also as the art assets that we have in it. The measurements of our success are going to be engagement. This is the biggest part of our experience because our clients wanted us to engage the audience of relationship status better. And we're going to analyze the engagement by using user analytics and user journeys. We would like to iterate a lot further and also conduct a lot of playtests. This is how we plan on handing it off to the clients. We would like to give them a prototype in an Android package, consolidated virtual machine with the database that we collect in our playtests, and also the documentation of the choices that we made and why we made those choices. To summarize, we're Team Storiverse. We're working on a client project with Verizon Open Innovations Lab, and we're delivering a proof of concept experience with the Google Pixel to enhance the experience of relationship status fans beyond their episodes. We would like to thank Philip, who's at the back. Hi, Philip. And all the people who have helped us through this journey. Thanks a lot. And we're open to questions now.
Thank you.
Yep, Ricardo.
You mentioned that during the experience, the player is prompted to look at a flat space. Are there going to be guidelines as far as how they should set that space up? And what if I'm on the road? What if I'm watching this at a bus terminal or somewhere on my phone and I get that prompt? How do I...
Could you go back to the clip?
Sure.
So basically, any flat surface will do.
Okay.
We'll have a hologram of all the... No, the video, please.
The video of the demo. Okay.
The demo, yeah. So at the beginning, there are holograms of the boxes. Just by one tap to confirm, then all the object will attach to the surface. Yeah, just back again. So these are the holograms you're using to aim, adjust, and just by tapping.
You can actually place them on the floor if that's the only flat space that you have. Yeah. to answer your question.
Actually, that's a good question because originally we were thinking about both AR and VR, and that's precisely the reason we are stepping away from VR. Because imagine if you're watching this on the go and you want to experience that right after, but you have to wait until you get home to get your VR headset to start the experience. And we just thought this kind of stops people from actually engaging with the show right after watching the episode. We believe that that's where the user actually feel most sort of like comfortable and excited about doing something about this episode rather than waiting to get the right opportunity to start that. Thank you.
Do you or the client have any concerns about the idea that users who are prompted for personal comments, that might turn toxic? And are you taking any steps to think that through or mitigate it?
I'll try to answer that. That's definitely something that we're going to have to see in playtests. But what I will say is that the charge that we got from our client was to keep people interacting with relationship status long after they finish the episode. So if people care enough about the comments to really want to argue, we're actually doing our job.
So I'd like to add to that. So the way you've seen, like, Twitter's been used over the years, and Facebook is being used. Like, if there is a public post and people would like to comment whatever comes to their mind, these platforms themselves, they maintain a lot of teams that work on clearing those pieces of content. So we would like to use a platform that has already been built instead of making our own platform, because we would not want to deal with parsing through that data and cleaning it up.
Time for one more.
Yep.
On average, how long do you expect a guest experience with engaging with an episode to be, just considering the fact that somebody's holding up their phone and it's a long time to kind of have your arm extended and interacting with something?
I can take it. So as the episodes are 10 minutes themselves, we expect most of the audience to experience the app itself on the go, and we would not want to have them extend their hands for more than 5 minutes. We have conducted playtests, and we've found that it gets uncomfortable if you have to prop your arms up for a really long period of time.
But I think that will also be helped by the fact that the person can choose where the panels are going to be focused on. So they can choose a position to hold their phone to look at the panels that is comfortable for them.
But yes, we do need additional playtesting to figure out what's the right amount of sort of playtime.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.